Wow, 2020, what a year. Let's cheers that that's over. Of course, cheersing some water because we're going into the new year. We need to be fresh, ready to start again. I mean, this video is not going to be a doom and gloom of 2020, the worst bits. I'm trying to see the positive and look at kind of the silver lining. I watched Silver Lining Playbook the other night with my grandma, and you know what? You have to look on the positives, and that's what I'm doing with this video. So I'm going to be doing today a 2020 review of my favourite books, podcasts, films, skincare, you name it, I'm going to talk about it, and we can just recap and think about the good things that happened, not the show that 2020 was. So let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, favourite book. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, about what I was gonna say, because I was thinking, do I say a book that was released this year, or do I say a book that I read this year but came out a few years ago? So I thought I would talk about two. First is Norwegian Wood by Murakami, which I believe came out in the 80s, so has been out for quite a while. And my friend B introduced me to Murakami this year, and I am obsessed. I'm in there very much, and I can't get enough of him. But Norwegian Wood by Murakami was one of my firm favourites. It's so beautifully written. It's obviously translated from Japanese. It's a vintage classic, and there's so much emotion in it. It was such a great escape this year, reading it, and it being based in Japan, and I've never actually been to Japan, and it's just made me want to go even more, and it's just, what a beautiful book. The second book that I wanted to talk about is an absolute firm favourite, I think, of everyone, which is Normal People by Sally Rooney, and this is actually links to my favourite TV series. I read Normal People at the beginning of this year. I actually picked it up very randomly. I was going to Naples with my boyfriend and just looking at some books and Waterstones, and I saw it, and on the back it said it was based in the west of Ireland, and that's where my parents are from. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna pick up this book, and in my head I thought it was gonna be based in like the 70s or 80s because I hadn't heard anything about it. And within the first few pages they mentioned Facebook, and I was like, oh, why? Like, I wanted it to be based in the 80s when my parents were growing up in Ireland. So I was kind of disappointed about that, but the book did not let me down at all. Kind of have a claim to fame with Sally Rooney. She is from the same town in Ireland that I'm from, so, you know, we're basically related. Like, Sally Rooney, Shifa Royal, you know, if she ever wants to hit me up, let me read any of her future projects, I will do. I thought Normal People was just so beautifully written, and the way it depicts the west of Ireland is just wonderful. And next year, 2021, is the year that everyone needs to go to Ireland. I haven't been in, I think, 2 years now, so fingers crossed we'll be allowed. The travel ban will be over soon. But that's enough. We're not talking about coronavirus anymore. That's it. So two favourite books are Norwegian Wood by Murakami and Normal People by Sally Rooney. Next, films. So 2020 has definitely been a year of films. Not films in the cinema, but definitely films at home. I've missed going to the cinema so much. But my top two movies of this year. So the first one is Mid-90s, which came out actually in 2018, but it was only released on Netflix this year. And it's kind of a short coming-of-age film based in California, and it's Jonah Hill's directorial debut. It's just really, really relatable, and there are some moments where you feel quite awkward and out of place, and there's great music, there's great skateboarding. It's so aesthetic. I mean, if any of my vlogs ever were to look like that, I would be over the moon. So Mid-90s, if you guys have Netflix, definitely watch it. It's very short, it's about 90 minutes. I'm actually gonna watch it. I was talking to my brother about it earlier, and I think we're gonna rewatch it one day this week because I just love it so much. And the second film I had to talk about it is Parasite. Obviously Parasite won Best Picture at the Oscars and was the first foreign language film to win, which is, I mean, about time. If 2020 was the year for it to happen, it happened. Parasite is amazing. A lot of people thought that they wouldn't be able to get over the language barrier. I think it really opened the door for a lot of people to watch movies that aren't in English, and I think that's so great because I know personally, in the past I watched a lot of films in Spanish, and you get over that so quickly, and it's actually so refreshing to watch something in a different language because obviously things are expressed so differently, but also your connection to the movie is so different. So if you haven't watched Parasite, go check it out. And I actually made, I can't remember what they were called, the noodles that they made in them, the steak noodles. Yeah, I actually made them this summer. I didn't make them as good as they looked, but they were still really nice. So if you guys want to make some noodles and watch a film, do it with Parasite. TV shows. So I have two fan favourites. So first, moving on from the book Normal People, the show Normal People. Wow. I mean, that really shook the nation. It was the most sex to be ever shown on BBC, and now, I mean, if you guys have watched Industry is by the BBC too, I think in collaboration with HBO. So the BBC is really starting to push the boundaries now. Like first it was Normal People, now Industry, which I am here for. The UK population need to see this kind of content. It's incredible. Normal People, I think it really did the book such justice. I was quite scared because I had read the book a few months before, had absolutely loved the book, and then obviously heard it was coming out. I was so excited, and I watched the whole thing with my mum. We binged it in about 2 days maybe. I mean, obsessed. And just again, the depiction of Ireland, and it was so beautiful, it was so raw, and I think it was great because spoiler alert, it didn't have that fairy tale ending of everything's gonna work out and everyone's gonna be together forever, but it had this like very real narrative of people not communicating and people not saying what they mean, and then people misconstruing what the other person said and coming to their own conclusion, and then people breaking up and fighting. And I think that realness is what young people especially need to see, because I think social media and the internet creates this kind of perfect world where everyone thinks that everything's perfect and it's not. And yeah, and I think Normal People really showed that. And my other favourite show, which I've spoken about many a times because I am a stan for Michaela Coel. Michaela Coel is a queen, and everyone needs to go and watch I May Destroy You. It is probably the most moving thing I've watched all year. It really makes you sit and think, and I think it's an important thing for people to watch in terms of education. People don't talk about and don't know what is consent and what isn't consensual. It came out at a very poignant time, and it came out at a time where I think if it had come out when we had been living life as normal, maybe it would have had the same kind of appreciation, but I don't think it would have made people think as much, because people were at home and people were digesting it and had more time to think about it than they probably would have normally. And I think that really was amazing, because it's themes that people do need to sit and think about, and how do you react in these situations. And if you guys also haven't listen to her podcast with Louis Theroux, because she also talks about a lot of kind of the background of it, of obviously it was her own experience, but also now how she's grieving for the end of this project that she spent so long working on. And I really resonate with her kind of saying, you know what, this was amazing, and I'm now going to take time to think about and grieve what happened. I don't need to rush into my next project. I'm just going to let it settle, and when I feel ready and when I feel artistic again, then I'm going to go and do that. Because I think that's kind of what 2020 has been. 2020 has been the year where everyone had these plans, everyone wanted to do everything, and then no one was able to do anything. And that's kind of what she was saying, like, I had this big thing happen, and now I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna let it settle. And I think that's kind of what we need to do with 2020, and I know that that's something I'm gonna try and do. Next, podcasts. So 2020 was actually kind of my popping the cherry of podcasts. I used to always listen to only one podcast. I listened to the Simon Mayo and Mark Kermode film podcast, which is from their BBC Radio 5 live show. But this year was kind of my inauguration into the world of podcasts, and what a beautiful world it is. I mean, watch this space, because actually my brother is starting a podcast, and I'm saying it here, I'm speaking it into the universe, so he has to do it. And I've loved listening to podcasts this year, and I think because we haven't been able to do a lot, we spent a lot of time on screens, and what I found really relaxing is kind of going on a walk, putting on a podcast. 2020 has definitely been the year of the podcast for me, so kind of sadly I was introduced to the High Low with Dolly Alderton and Pandora Sykes, which I talk about all the time because once again I stand them. They are two amazing authors, amazing writers, and it was just really infectious to listen to them, their friendship, their life, their journey with each other, and I'm just really gutted that their podcast is over. But there is a silver lining, because when I was out with my friends the other day, I was saying, guys, I need a new podcast. I really want to listen to like another female-led podcast, and my friend Annie told me about a podcast called Bobo and Flex. And when I tell you I have been listening to a new podcast of theirs every day this week. Flex is from Australia, Bobo is from New York, and they talk about everything and anything. I mean, the last podcast I listened to was them talking about shrooms. They talk about the impact of like white feminism. They talk about OnlyFans. They talk about
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They talk about it all.
And I'm here for it. They're incredible, and they're just so articulate, and they don't take anybody at all. They say it how it is, and they say, you know what, this is my platform, this is what I want to say, this is how I want to say it, and I don't need to educate you, I don't need to engage with you in a way that isn't fruitful for me. And I think that's so refreshing, because I think people now create something and create a platform or create a podcast, become a YouTuber, and then kind of are held to an account of what they're doing, which I think should be to an extent, but I think if it's something about feminism, like, you don't need to teach anyone feminism, it's up to other people to learn. And that's what they talk about. They say, you know what, if you haven't figured it out, you need to go figure it out, because my platform is not the place for you to come and learn. This is a place where we're all going to discuss our feelings, and it's just piece de résistance. It's great, absolutely great. So if you guys haven't listened to any of Bobo and Flex, they are phenomenal, and I'm just here for them. I've only been listening to them for about a week, and I'm already so excited for the new year, so excited for their new content. I think they're just absolutely thriving. Okay, so now moving on to more materialistic things. So first of all, my favorite skincare item. Now, you know me, I love skincare, and for me there was two main things I wanted to talk about here. First of all, it's going to be no surprise to anyone, the Pharmacy Lightweight Moisturizer. Okay, that moisturizer, when I say has revolutionized my skin, has revolutionized my skin.
Period.
It did, that's it. If you are going to buy something to treat yourself for the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021, and you have oily combination skin, you have acne, it is £40, but once you have it, you will never go back. Your skin literally gulps it in. Like, when I put it on every morning, my skin, the way it absorbs, it's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. So the second product, it was actually a present given to me. It is the Drunk Elephant bronzing drops, and I've spoken about these a lot. Again, if you're someone with acne and you don't like wearing foundation, but you want a bit of color, you want add a bit of life to your face, buy this. But I have recommended it to a few of my friends, and a few of my friends have actually broken out from it. I personally haven't, but kind of a disclaimer that maybe try a sample before you buy it, because I was personally quite lucky. I normally break out with these things, and it hasn't made me break out at all. Okay, and now the last two materialistic things. So, my favorite purchases of 2020. The first one I'm wearing, and disclaimer, it is from fast fashion retailer, it's from Zara. I'm not against fast fashion. I understand why people need to buy from it, but I think there needs to be an accountability, and I think that people need to be aware when they are purchasing from fast fashion retailers what they are buying into. And if you do buy from them, buy something that is something that you are going to have forever. So when I saw this little number on the Zara website, I I had to do it. I'm sorry, I had to do it. But I know that this is something I'm going to have forever. It's a forever piece. The cutest little workwear jumpsuit, and the fit, it's very 70s. It fits like a glove. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I know that I'm going to be wearing this when I have kids, when I'm a grandma, because it's an iconic piece and it will never go out of fashion. So that was my favorite fast fashion purchase this year. The second favorite purchase is this little silk dress. It's actually vintage. I got it for £5 in Portobello Market, and I got it during the summer, and I was kind of hesitant about buying it, but I really wanted a silk slip, and I bought it because you couldn't try it on because of COVID, and obviously it's an outside market, so I couldn't try it on. And I got home and I put it on, and it just fits perfectly, and I wore it literally every night in summer. It's such a cute date night. You put a little leather jacket, you could put a jumper, wear it as a dress, wear it as a skirt. I mean, it's fabulous. So that was my favorite secondhand purchase. Just to wrap up 2020, what a year. I mean, as I kind of said, I don't want to focus on the negative things because it's been such a hard year for everyone, and it's been a year that we're all gonna learn and grow from, and I think that's kind of the learning that I'm trying to take. I'm trying to say, you know what, it's happened. It was a piece of and it should be left in the toilet, and that's where I'm leaving it, and I'm flushing the toilet, and it's gone. It's gone into the Thames, and it's gonna be recycled into drinking water, so can't wait to be drinking that soon. Oh, that was the weirdest analogy ever. Where do I get these things from? 2020, that is my review. Favorite books, favorite films, favorite podcasts. Please let me know in the comments what yours are, some suggestions for 2021, anything. I'm excited to read, to listen, to watch, to just absorb. And I guess my parting note is enjoy the rest of 2020, make the most of the last few days, and see you in my channel very soon. Bye.